And my bread dough. Runaway sausage. Ah. Yes. Yes. Look at what I've done. I have fire. I'm going to start with the sausages. Nope, the bread. The bread is going to take longer, and I have to mash it around with my hands like a pizza dough. And then I just need to reheat the sausages, so it's not that big of a deal. And the thunder, do you hear it? Do you hear it? Okay, we're gonna do this quick. I will say, this is a recipe that I use all the time, every time, and it was I originally found it from Bon Appetit, and it's a focaccia bread recipe. And I just take that, the oil's burning, just take the focaccia bread recipe and do what I want with it, which means I can fry it in a skillet, oh god, or I can bake it as a loaf. This is what I'm doing. This is what I typically do. Lowering the heat. I need a rag. Let me show you what I'm doing. Bread dough, oil in a pan, bread dough frying. I normally use butter. It's better with butter. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Take it. This is where the spatula comes. Oh my god. That is beautiful. That is the most beautiful bread I've ever seen. You know, given the fact that we are outside in the woods, you would think that they would paint these things a brighter color. Is it just me? Because I feel like in the surrounding area it kind of blends in. Or am I making up excuses? Oh, goodness. Look at my van. You could hear Xander in there crying. I feel like a little girl again. I feel like the young me that was in the woods by herself originally back in 2019, 2020, 21. There's also a difference in the silence here. It's like one thing to have a Friday night to myself at the house, and it feels very different to have a Friday night to myself in the woods. It feels very different. It feels very good. It's beautiful. Look. Alright, Xander, I don't need you breathing down my neck, man, while I'm trying to eat. Scoot over. Scoot over, scoot over, scoot over. Give me some space. Ooh. Space, man. Okay? I gave you space while you ate. I gave you your space while you ate. Now it's my turn. I've got sausages and bread. This is my favorite bread ever. I'm going to tell you the recipe, okay? And you can Google this on the Bon Appetit website. It's good, but it's even better when you cook it in butter. Just fry it up in butter on a skillet. Perfect. I don't know why I've yet to do it with garlic also, but I know that if you cook it with butter and garlic, oh my god, and maybe some herbs. You're welcome. But the recipe is a single packet of, what's it called? What am I trying to say? A single packet, the recipe is a single packet of the yeast. I'll find a picture and insert it. Either a single packet, I've done this so many times that I've officially bought myself the little jar, and I believe it's 2 1/4 tablespoons of yeast in a bowl. Recipe says use honey. I've done it with honey, maple syrup, sugar, and it all comes out relatively, I don't want to say the same because I know baking is like a science, but it comes out similar enough for me not to think I did something wrong. So what I do is I put the yeast in the center of a bowl and I create a ring of whatever sweet thing that I'm using. So I do a ring of honey around the bowl. And then you need 2.5 cups of lukewarm water. So I usually warm up some water on the stove, pour it into the honey and the yeast and mix it up, and then you let it sit to bloom for 5 minutes. And so within those 5 minutes, the yeast is going to come alive. And if you watch it, it literally like bubbles up to the surface. It's actually really cool. Then you throw some salt in there. I use coarse sea salt. I shouldn't be talking with my mouth full, should I? Throw some coarse sea salt in there. I do like a spoonful. I eyeball it. And then you mix all that together, and then that's when you start adding in the flour. It's 5 cups of flour. So you add in the flour and you slowly mix the dough. I think the recipe calls it a shaggy dough. I don't really know what that means, but you want to incorporate all the flour evenly into the liquid mixture. Once you have a big ball of dough that maybe has some wet streaks, maybe has some dry floury streaks, but it's all incorporated really well, you're good to go. Sometimes I transfer that dough ball to a separate bowl that is flooded with olive oil, or I'll just use the same bowl because I don't like doing dishes. And I'll just kind of like flood the sides of the dough inside the bowl. I don't know if this makes sense, but like I'll drizzle oil along the perimeter and kind of lift up the dough so that it gets underneath. You get me? And I usually let that sit in the fridge overnight before I start. Why did I want to say fondling it? Because I mean, that's what you end up doing before you start, like, because you don't need the dough. This is what I'm trying to get at. You don't need the dough. What I do is I leave it in the fridge overnight, and then say the next morning for breakfast, I want to have this fresh bread. So I'll go and like pinch off a piece of it, and mind you, it'll be airy. There'll be air pockets and bubbles and stuff, and it'll have risen. It'll be really big. But I pinch it off, and then I do the fondling of the dough and throw it in a pan with hot butter. And then I fold the rest of the dough into a ball, a nice neat ball at the bottom of that bowl, and then stick it back in the fridge for whenever I want to do a pan fried bread again. Or the other thing you can do is let it rise overnight in the fridge, take it out, fold it, boom, 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 fold it over multiple times until it becomes a nice round bowl, nice round ball inside. Let it rise again, and then I usually do that again, doom, 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 fold it into a nice bowl, and then I put that ball inside of the container that I'm gonna bake it in, so the loaf pan, and I'll grease up the loaf pan with butter, put it in there, and then let it rise again. And then if you want it like focaccia style, you stick your fingers in it, boom, 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 like let it rise again for an hour, and then stick your fingers to kind of pop the bubbles and press the dough down. Drizzle olive oil, stick that in the oven at 450 for, check the recipe because I don't remember. And then you pull it out and it's golden brown, and it's so good when it's fresh. Lots of butter. It's delicious. But I do it all the time. My mom loves it. I've kind of like held on to this recipe and used it multiple times now and have considered it my personal recipe. I eyeball everything now at this point, except for the yeast. And like I do general measurements of everything, but it's an intuitive process. Anyways, I'm gonna shut the hell up and eat my dinner and not disgust you with my smacking, so I can fully enjoy this to the best of my ability without fear of judgment. And I'll come back to you later when I have something else I want to say. The fire was a little bit too hot, but I'm still gonna eat it. Alrighty, buen provecho. Let me try my camp breakfast sausage. Amazing. 10 out of 10. I will say I'm quite impressed with that little camp set that I got from Walmart. The little skillet, the pot, the forks, all the utensils, the plates. I'm quite pleased. I truly was expecting to struggle a bit and have everything stick and it just be a big mess, because that was my experience with the previous set of pots and pans that I had, and that was not the case at all. So I feel really happy with that purchase, and 10 out of 10 little camp set. Eggs. Delicious. Delicious. I cannot wait. I'm so excited to be able to collect my own chicken eggs and eat them. They're now getting to that point where they're old enough to start laying, so every day I've been checking. It's a little on the early side, but we have met the time period where they could start. Look at that yolk. But that's what I'm excited for, is to be able to go and collect eggs and cook them and eat them and bring them on camping trips and share them with people and bake things and do all sorts of fun things with them. But the bread, it's burnt. We already know that. I am gonna eat it. Mm. 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 Oh my god. The iced coffee to wash it down is perfect! But I'm gonna eat without the camera in my face, okay? I'd like to enjoy my meal without the sense of eyes watching me. And I'll pick you back up whenever I have something to say or want to show you.